All right, guys, I'm back. I fixed all the issues. I don't know why that was happening. It seems to be working perfectly fine now, which is so weird. It's so weird. I don't understand why everything was changed. Every time I shut down OBS and bring it back up again, it's always the same. This time it was different. If you had viewed in from Reddit, I apologize. If you stuck with me, I appreciate it. This is my name's Josh. I do best of lists over a variety of different subgenres in the punk periphery. Um, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. I personally consider folk punk to be anything that kind of blends any type of folk music with any type of punk, like any type of punk music. So that includes like your traditional like street punk, folk punk, like your crusty, you know, uh, you know, street punks playing guitar like Mischief Brew or something like that, and Celtic punk, gypsy punk, pirate punk, which are some of the more common ones, but then also like kind of like uh, any acoustic punk, any sort of really acoustic punk styles, and like punk influenced alt country as well. Um, so that being said, I did start the stream before, but everything was mirrored for some. Like all of the images were mirrored, and it looked really bad. So I apologize for that. It does seem to be working fine now. So hopefully there are no more issues going forward. Just gonna start over from scratch again. I was only a couple songs in. It's only 10 songs anyways. Kind of annoying. I apologize. But I appreciate you tuning in. The last couple days we did the top 15 ska EPs and the top 25 ska albums of 2025. Today we're doing the top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. And we are going to start with a band from Orange County, California called the Bricktop Blaggers. They have a new 7-song EP called On With The Show. You can either qualify it as a very long EP or a very short full album. I generally uh, uh, qualify it if it's 7 songs or less, it's an EP. Granted, they aren't like super long songs. If it's 8 songs or more, uh, I classify it as a full length album. All the songs on this one are at least 3 minutes, with one song being 5 minutes and one song being over 6 minutes. So, like I said, I don't go by like uh, the general EP classification of if it's like 25 minutes or less or whatever, that it's an EP or not, but whatnot. But anyways, the Bricktop Blaggers, they play Celtic punk. They are out of Orange County, California. This album is really, really good from start to finish. Overall, it wasn't the greatest year for folk punk, in my personal opinion. Last year, I easily did the top 20, and this year I think I had like 10 or 11 really albums that I was really um, content with featuring, and everything else would have had to been filler. So I just broke it all the way down to 10. So shout out to the Dreadnoughts, which would have been the next one on the list, and they play like kind of gypsy punk and pirate punk. Um, so those styles of music didn't really get featured in today's list for that simple reason alone, that they were the 11th best album. And I do try to feature a variety of different styles that fall into the different subgenres when I can. But I also want to put forward the best, like what I think is actually the best music of the year too at the same time. So, anyways, I'm gonna play you the song "Old Glory" from the Bricktop Blaggers' new EP/album "On With The Show," and then we'll get on with the rest of the list.
Nation's favorite sons and daughters cheering for the sound of sacrificial lambs to slaughter, dying on the ground. flags on shelves. The logic here has vanished, the science you deny. We lie and cheat in the name of freedom. The holy books that I can beat them. Virtue corrupted, the compassion has died. Well, we've gone too far to give up now. We gotta tear it down somehow. Can we start again and get this whole thing right? As they beg for shelter and human rights in the name of freedom, you start fights. Ignorance is bliss. This country you divide. Oh glory, where have you been? Tattered, torn, and ripped from within. Oh glory, beaten black and blue. I'm running out of hope for you. You stand for the flag and anthem as you watch it burn. You pledge allegiance to old glory, giving no concern. We tell them all how great we are, love their neighbors near and far. But if they ask for help, go back where you belong. We're bleeding out on your front door. We are your sick, we are your poor. Huddled in our masses, refuse of your teeming shore. Are you safe from danger in a living wage or a shining blanket in a silver cage? Ignorance is bliss, this country you divide. Oh glory, where have you been? Tattered, torn, and ripped from within. Oh glory,
awesome track, man. And this whole album is really, really solid. Definitely recommend you go check it out because all 7 tracks are really amazing. That was Bricktop Blaggers. On with the show. The track was Old Glory, the opening track off the album, and they're from Orange County, California. They are number 10 on our list of top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. Moving right along, we are going to go to Memphis, Tennessee, by way of Arkansas. My stuff is stalling here. To Ben Nichols, who is the lead singer of the band Lucero. If you're familiar with Lucero, Lucero is probably the preeminent punk-influenced alt-country band out there. There are a few individual artists and bands that kind of grew up in the punk world and then now play like a kind of like alt-country kind of music, but I think Lucero is the most renowned and notable of those bands. But this isn't Lucero. This is Ben Nichols' solo album. What the difference is, I'm actually not sure because they sound pretty much the same. They both got pedal steel on there. They're both alt country. This might be the only thing I can think of is that this might be B-sides, like Lucero B-sides that Ben is releasing individually, because this album is not quite on par with how good I would expect a Lucero album to be. Not that it's bad in any sense. It's still a dark, sad, and beautiful album like all his work is. But like I said, it's not when I hear there's a new Lucero album coming out, I have very high expectations, and like this didn't quite live up to those expectations. So it's either like my least favorite Lucero album, if you want to call it that, or like I said, that's why I think it might be B-sides from Lucero projects that Ben's just releasing under his own name. I don't know, but they sound the same. On top of that, Ben and Lucero did release a unplugged album. I don't generally consider like compilation albums or albums that use older music, even if it is in a new form. Like I sometimes will, but not always, because I want to feature as much new music as possible. But the unplugged album is mind-blowingly incredible. I was listening to it last night while I was falling asleep, and it was like making me tear up. Like I had to like turn it off because I was like gonna start crying, because his songs are just like that, like beautiful. The one I'm gonna play for you today is the last track off of his new album, which is called "In the Heart of the Mountain," and this is a very dark song. Still dark, still beautiful, but like a very thematically dark song, and it's called "The Devil Takes His Leave."
Heavenly host, I've done all that you demanded. Now I think I'll go. I've done all your killing, and I've tested many souls. And I've been ranging o'er the earth, your shadow among men. Poet, prophet, preacher, just a butcher in the end. You pass down your judgment while you're breaking your own rules. tell me what to do, but not like you. Ash to ash, dust to dust. I don't know if God has a plan. Oh, but I'm sure the devil does. We'll do what we must. Oh, you create the light, you create the dark. You created all this evil and you placed it in my arms. My brightness dimmed with the rising sun. For your own sake, we too must part. Dust to dust. I don't know if God has a plan. Oh, but I'm sure the devil does. One day we all leave. We do what we must. And oh, it hurts so much. It hurts so much.
Man, such a beautiful song, like so dark and fucking beautiful, man. Like, all of his stuff is like Lucero is equally. It's very similar to that. He's such a beautiful songwriter. Dark, sad, so heart wrenching, man. Like he gets like right to your soul, and a lot of that's probably because he has like one of the most iconic voices that I can think of, up there with like Chuck Reagan, like in the punk world. Like it doesn't, his voices don't get much more iconic than that, man. He's just so fucking good. So if you do like that, definitely go check out the Unplugged album as well, because it'll blow your mind. Especially if you haven't heard Lucero before, and you just go into it and like get like some of the best songs off of all of his albums on one one Unplugged album, or one Unplugged release, then it'll take you to some new places, man. Let me tell you. That was The Devil Takes His Leave off of In the Heart of the Mountain, Ben Nichols. I'm not sure if this is his first solo release or not, but the lead singer of Lucero, definitely go check out both their works. So good. Number 9 on our list of top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. For number 8, we are going to Philadelphia, or like California by way of Philadelphia, because the next album up is Dave House's Dave House and the Mermaid, it's called, which is pretty much a self-titled release, because Dave House was from a punk band in Philadelphia called The Loved Ones, but for the last decade or so, he's been playing like folk music on his own, and now he's taken on he's brought in a full band, who are the guys that you can see in the background of this picture. The band's called The Mermaid, so Dave House and the Mermaid. And the Mermaid is basically just the name of his backing band, and so effectively making this self-titled album of Dave with the new band. He lives in California now, plays out of California, but he was originally from Philadelphia, so that's why I say California by way of Philadelphia. The first half of this album is S tier, incredibly top-notch tracks. The second half it's kind of hit or miss. Some of the songs are better than the others. Uh, at the same time, there's a very it's quite a diverse album, in that some songs are like, kind of like just like rock songs. Other songs are like more folky songs, and then there's even one or two songs that are like just like straight up pure punk songs. So you get a little bit of everything here. Um, but I'm gonna play you the opening track, which is called "A Knife in the Mud."
We're waiting on vultures. We're bags of blood. There's no night coming in on horseback. It's a fight for a knife in the mud. We're a prayer unanswered. We're the cure that never came. We're Detroit wheels. We're American steel. Rusting out in the rain. We ain't going down easy. We ain't going down at all. We're never gonna die. We're never gonna die. We're fighting on buckshot. We're a suitcase full of bees. We're the dog that got run over, trying to scratch off the fleas. We're starving cannibals, praying for manna to eat. We're the moldering flesh on the bones of old glory, reeking out in the street. We ain't going down easy. We ain't going down at all. We're never gonna die. We're never gonna die. We're a bootleg surgeon in an unmarked car. We're the dying light of collapsing stars. Say a prayer to your savior, Lord of the Flies. 'Cause we ain't ever gonna die. We're never gonna
Yeah, as you can see, that kind of falls somewhere in between, or that particular song at least falls somewhere in between like Frank Turner and Chuck Reagan or something like that. Could even maybe say like Brian Adams, or I don't even know, but like yeah, like other songs are very punk oriented, and some are just like straight up acoustic folk songs. So get a little bit of everything with Dave House and his new band The Mermaid, on their self-titled release there. I'm loving the addition of the new band there. Really gives some depth to the songs that like wasn't there before. So really enjoy this album, especially like I said, the first 5 tracks are absolute fucking bangers. Yeah, that's number 8 on our list of top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. Oh, shout out to Frank Turner, by the way, seeing as I mentioned him, because he set the world record for playing the most shows in 24 hours this year. So he's got himself into the Guinness Book of World Records, and his pictures in there beside Taylor Swift. So shout out and congratulations to Frank Turner for that. Look forward to your next album there. Solid dude, Frank Turner's. I did. He did that 3 show. I work as a stagehand, and he did that 3 show series called The Evening in Toronto last year, and I worked it. dude is super chill. Like such a nice fucking dude. Such a nice fucking dude. So give Frank Turner some love on top of Dave. So moving on to number 7, we're going to Sydney, Australia for another Celtic punk band. This is a band called the Cloverhearts, and they actually play Celtic punk, but there's a handful of ska songs on this album as well, which are all really good. I actually originally had this in my ska folder, and I was like, there's not enough ska songs on this album to qualify it as a ska album, so I'm gonna move it back over to folk punk where it truly belongs. But the ska songs on this album are really good, so if you like Celtic punk or you like ska, definitely check out this album from the Cloverhearts. It's called Loving in Squalor, and every track on this is incredible. This is a very, very solid album from start to finish. Super fun, upbeat tracks to kind of dichotomize against the last couple tracks we listened to with Ben Nichols and Dave House there. But yeah, I'm going to play you a song called Luck of the Irish, which is the opening track from the album.
Not a bit of Gaelic, not a twang of bro. No luck of the Irish. Yeah, got a short fuse and I like me drink. No luck of the Irish. But not a string of red hair, which makes me think. No luck of the Irish. You won't catch me drawing shamrocks in the beer with a frat cap on, singing pogues in hair. Can fake it till I make it, cause I'm too sincere. At least that's what I think. The only good crack I know is packed in a pie. No luck of the Irish. A leprechaun's egg worth my time. No luck of the Irish. Never gonna fit in with the Celtic scene. No luck of the Irish. So how about you do you and I'ma do me. No luck of the Irish. You won't catch me drawing shamrocks in the beer with a frat cap on, singing pogues in hair. Can fake it till I make it, cause I'm too sincere. At least that's what I think. And yeah, I'll have a Guinness draft by St. Paddy's Day. Would love to see the sights of Dublin and Galway. Can fake it till I make it, I was born this way. No luck of the Irish. No luck of the Irish. La 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 You won't catch me drawing shamrocks in the beer with a frat cap on, singing pogues in hair. Can fake it till I make it, cause I'm too sincere. At least that's what I think. And yeah, I'll have a Guinness draft by St. Paddy's Day. Would love to see the sights of Dublin and Galway. Can fake it till I make it, I was born this way. No luck of the Irish. No luck of the Irish. No luck of the Irish.
As you can see, that's much more like a pop punk. It's like a pop punk Celtic punk blend there, but really fun album. Like I said, it's nice to have something more upbeat and a type of music that's oftentimes a lot more dark and brooding. But yeah, the Cloverhearts. That was Luck of the Irish off of their new album Loving in Squalor from Sydney, Australia, number 7 on our list of top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. Number 6, we're going to Minneapolis, Minnesota for the band The Slow Death. They have a new album out called No Light to See, and they also play. I would say that this is much more akin to Lucero, but maybe a little less dark and brooding, to use the term again. It's it's a little bit more slightly faster paced, and slightly less country. I don't recall there being pedal steel in this album, but there might be, but I don't think there is. But anyways, this album was definitely one of my favorite all-around albums this year in the folk punk realm. Pretty much everything from the Clover Hearts above are all pretty tight albums across the board. To be fair, I normally don't include, like, this list combines EPs and full length albums, and I normally don't include individual tracks. I don't for consideration, but I made an exception this time because it's by a band who made what I think is quite possibly the greatest album of all time, and their catalog is like a running storyline. So it continues on the storyline from that, like, that works its way across their entire discography, which is incredible. We'll get to that when it comes to it, but that kind of like bumped. I used that it kind of bumped everything else down. Even though I think, like, these albums should technically be, like, at least one step higher, based on the inclusion of that song. But anyways, I'm gonna play you the song "Desperately," which is the first track off of the Slow Deaths album, "No Light to See," out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Desperately. I'm a beauty you've chosen to save. It's just a little away. Your devotion is a total mistake. You won't be saved. You won't be saved. Hold on to these desperately. Hold on to these desperately. Desperately. That's just the way that it goes round here for us regular folks. The only good life you see is the one that you run on TV. But if you keep working hard, say just a little bit more. Don't eat and you'll always stay thin. It's a big club and you just ain't in it. Hold on to these desperately. Hold on to these desperately. 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 Desperately.
Yeah, so good, man. Like that's what you can. Maybe that's like the difference between Lucero and Ben Nichols is that Ben Nichols stuff is a little bit more dark, and slowed a bit down because that if I just heard that song like in passing, I would have probably thought that that was Lucero. But yeah, just as good. This album, Slow Death, No Light to See, just as good as any Lucero album. So if that is your vibe, definitely check it out. They're from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and that was the song Desperately. Number 6 on our list of top 10 folk punk bands of 2025. Keep on keeping on. We are going to Los Angeles, California for the band Hoist the Colors. They have a new album out called Dear Wonderlust, and they kind of remind me. I would say there's definitely a Celtic influence here, but it's not like as overwhelming in as it is in bands like the Clover Hearts and Bricktop Blaggers, or like they actually remind me more of, if you're familiar with the band Old Man Markley, which was on a Fat Records band, and they play like bluegrass punk. So good. If you haven't heard them, definitely go check them out. Yeah, so this when I listened to this, I was like, man, this reminds me of something. Couldn't put my finger on it right away, and I was like, oh yeah, Old Man Markley, man. So yeah, it's somewhere in between Celtic punk and bluegrass punk, but definitely folk oriented for sure. And this album is another album that is incredible from start to finish. So highly, highly recommend that you go check it out. And I'm gonna play you the song Grace.
I was there on the night when you said you weren't understood, and I was there when all they said was you'll never be any good. A song and a memory will keep you hanging on. Streetlights, stairways will hold you in their arms. White rays shine down on the strong side of town. Grace shine down on the strong side of town. Sneaking smokes in the alleyway or alone in the park. So hard to keep your faith when you're sure you miss your mark. Looking for answers that help to guide you home. Streetlights, stairways will tell you where to go. Well, grace shine down on the strong side of town. Grace shine down on the strong side of town. It's hard to see what the future holds or where you belong. It's hard to know if the heart still beats or if you're dead and gone. A song and a memory will keep you hanging on. Streetlights, stairways will hold you in their arms. Well, grace shine down on the strong side of town. Grace shine down on the strong side of town. Well, grace shine down on the strong side of town. Grace shine down on the strong side of town.
Yeah, I think that song like really what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it, but like it really shows you how they combine Celtic punk with the bluegrass punk. The kind of like the introduction was very very Celtic punk, but then the chorus line section was with the violin was much more bluegrass soundings, right? So I think that song's a really good example of how they kind of combine Celtic punk and bluegrass punk into something that's uh, much more original than you'd hear from just like any other Celtic punk band, of which there's like thousands, right? So, really cool album from Hoist the Colors. That's the first time they've obviously been around for a while, but the first time I'm hearing them. So that was a new band for me this year, and really glad I found them there. Number 5 on our list of top 10 folk punk bands of 2025, and number 4, I would have loved. I would have loved to put this at the top of the list. I would have, in my opinion, they are one of the greatest folk punk bands of all time. The Taxpayers from Portland, Oregon. Um, if you have not heard the Taxpayers, please go back and listen to every single album they've ever released, because, like I said, they are one like Mischief Brew, Blackbird Rom, Days and Days. They're like these guys are up there as one of the best folk punk bands of all time, without question. Um, every single album. What's interesting about these guys is that every single album is a concept album. It doesn't run like the album I was talking about before, where their entire discography is based on like a running narrative. Uh, each album has its own narrative, but it doesn't cross from album to album. Each album is a story in itself, but that's what makes these albums so cool to listen to. And Circle Breaker is no different, even though I'm going to admit that this is probably my least favorite Taxpayers album of all time. It's still one of the best albums, like folk punk albums of the year, for sure. And that's only because the three above it are like really, really top tier. But yeah, this one's kind of talking about. You can see the stump with the tree growth coming out of it, and basically, Rob Taxpayer, the main songwriter, was talking about how one of his bandmates lost. I'm not sure if it was a stepchild or like somebody he was associated with that was like a young adult that was he'd watched grown up, lived in his house. So I'm not sure if he was a father figure or whatnot, but like he basically had the kid was killed in a park incident where he got in an argument with somebody, and the other person ended up killing him, and they were mourning. And then during the mourning ceremony, or the city came and started culling this cherry tree that was like on their property, and they were mangling it, like they're having a hard time cutting it down, and they like just left this like mangled stump or whatever. And then like and it kind of like made the sound of the chainsaw cutting down the tree kind of like exacerbated the trauma and the hurt that they were all feeling, right? And or at least it kind of like I can't think of the words I want to use today. It kind of like illustrated. It was like a metaphor for like what they were going through, right? And but then a month or so later or whatever, the tree stump started sprouting new growth. So, and he kind of says that society is kind of going through that right now, and that this album is kind of about the process of new growth coming from essentially destruction, right? So the cycle of destruction and rebirth, breaking the cycle so that good times can lie ahead. And so I think that, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it seemed that he was talking about the album being about. Um, and yeah, I just like love the Taxpayers. They're definitely different than every other folk punk band. They're very original, which I think kind of leads them to being such an iconic folk punk band. But I'm gonna play you a song called "Evil Everywhere," which is the second track on the album. The other tracks are a little bit more, definitely more like uh, subdued and, like, I guess you'd say more folky. But like I said, you have to listen. This isn't a band that you want to just go listen to one track to. This is a band that you want to listen to the entire album for, because, like I said, the albums tell a story in their entirety. So you're missing out um, on that narrative if you're only listening to select or one track at a time, right? So highly encourage you go listen to not only this album but all the other Taxpayers albums, especially if you're not familiar with them, because, like I said, they are one of the greatest folk punk bands of all time in my opinion. And this is Evil Everywhere off of their new album Circle Breaker. that song didn't make you fall in love with the Taxpayers, I don't know what's wrong with you. That song is so fucking good, dude. I'd say it's not like a tip, like it's not what the rest of the tracks on that album typically sound like, but that is a actually great introduction to what the Taxpayers vibe as a whole, especially on most of their other albums, is. Yeah, that song is so fucking good. This band is so fucking good. Definitely, please go check them out because they are a vibe and a half, man. Number 4 on our list of top 10 folk punk albums of 2025. And moving on to number 3, another individual that's from another band. This is Ace Ender's new album Posture Syndrome, and Ace is the nickname of the lead singer of the emo band Early November. So this is his solo album, and I'm not gonna lie, like I'm not like the huge. I like the Early November, but like I didn't like follow them a lot. Like it wasn't a band that I listened to when I was younger, so it doesn't have that like nostalgic factor for me. And whereas I do think that they're very good, this album, sorry, I believe outshines all of the Early November albums because this album is so beautiful. It's just such a beautiful album to listen to, and every track on this album is like top tier. Um, like I said, when I first started, I had this as my number one pick, and I was like, well, I was like, the number 2 is like, it's just such a cool and different album. I gotta put it above it, and then I had to put, I was like, this is my favorite, my favorite album, a new song by my favorite, like the band that put out my favorite album of all time, and I gotta put that above this. So it kind of knocked it down, but this easily could be number 1, easily. It could be up there in an album of the year consideration as well. But Ace Ender's Posture Syndrome. He's from Hamilton, New Jersey. He's the singer of the band The Early November, and I'm going to play you the title track, Posture Syndrome.
Teaching them right to think like we do, how to sound like us and judge the truth. Cry on a pillow so far from home, filling their heads a posture syndrome. If hypocrisy equals efficiency, will they cut me out to make you believe? If I tell you that I can't breathe without you, blame the fly on the wall with nothing to lose. I used to think we could part like the seas, while always connected in full disbelief. Laying back, floating the easy desire, weaving a basket of grief to hold all the lies and the truths and the wants, conceal the causes of the obvious ones. The effect is the shepherd blocking the sun, dressed like the common, but planted the gun. Far away from the sun, under shadows you can blame anyone. A mile away, kaleidoscope, busy filling their heads, imposter syndrome. Busy filling their heads, imposter syndrome. Busy filling their heads, imposter syndrome.
Man, this is such a beautiful song, such a beautiful album. That's a microcosm of the macrocosm in regards to this album. Like, that whole album is like so fucking good. And like I said, easily could be the number one folk punk album of the year, easily. Ace Ender's Posture Syndrome, that was the title track, out of Hamilton, New Jersey, lead singer of the Early November. The only reason he's number 3 is because of this next band, and this next band got the hype and is, in my opinion, deserves every single bit of it. This is the new E. Oh my God, why is this? Why is it not? What the fuck? Why is it moving? My there we go. Meant to do that. The New Eves. That's the band name. The album's called The New Eve is Rising. They're from Brighton and Hove, UK. And this is like some, like, it's super witchy, super chaotic, like folk. And it is mind-blowingly good. It reminds me most. I'm sure like very few of you have heard of this reference, but back in the day there was a label called the G7 Welcoming Committee out of Canada, and they put out like some propaganda albums, and what was I can't remember Lee Reed's band out of Hamilton. I can't remember what they're called now, but like, yeah, they put out Lee Reed's band, kind of like an anarchist-oriented political label. They put out like Chomsky audiobooks and Michael Parenti audiobooks. So like, if you're around in like the 90s, early 2000s, like they were like, and you were like exposed to this, it was like a very like super. It kind of like gave you that like super political upbringing that pointed like punk rock and that kind of realm in that sort of direction. And one of the bands on that label was called Rhythm Activism, which is a guy named, the main guy is named Norman Narwaki, and I forget, there was a second, it was him and another guy, and I forget what the second dude's name, and I apologize for that. But they played this like very like, I don't even know how to describe it, like the violin, it's the violin on this album is highly reminiscent of the violin on the Rhythm Activism albums, which were like super anarchist oriented, like folk music, like folk punk music. And when I heard this album, it immediately like reminded me of like the nostalgia that those albums had for me. I used to play like SOCOM Navy SEALs like online PlayStation or whatever, and I would like take my mic and put it on the speaker and just play. I was like really well known for like just playing this like revolutionary music. I'd play like Dead Prez and like Immortal Technique and Rhythm Activism and stuff like that. And like I had this like big following just because I was like I would play like the one game mode, Search and Destroy, and like I would always play this like this like weird political anarchist music, and so but this album has that vibe. I'm not necessarily saying it's like like anarchist oriented in that sense, other than the fact that like it's got that like super pagan witchy feel to it, and I kind of feel like those two realms are like mutually inclusive of one another in a sense. But yeah, this album got like some hype. It was like very high up on Brooklyn Vegan's like top at least punk albums. I'm not sure if it was on the main album list or not, but either way, well deserving of it. And yeah, these chicks like they're wild, man. This album is like very chaotic, as you're gonna hear. And I'm going to play you the song The New Eve, which is title track, a character track, character defining track of the album. So I'm just gonna put it on, and then you can hear it for yourself, and you'll understand what I'm saying. But yeah, if you like this, please definitely go, if you can find it, go search out Rhythm Activism and go listen to some of that, because you'll see how the vibes are similar. But this is The New Eve from The New Eves on their new album, The New Eve is Rising.
The new eve is rising from the pages of a burned Bible. From the roadsides and the gutters, the marshes and the meadows, from the pulpits and the cafes, from the forests and our backbones. The new Eve is curious and free. She eats what she wants to eat. Every fruit from every tree she devours guiltlessly, and thick red fruit blood run down her hungry mouth, and thick red fruit blood run down her naked thighs. The new Eve is not ashamed when she bleeds. The new Eve spits out the seeds from the fruit of the forbidden tree, and then she plants them carefully, nurturing an orchard of apple trees. Of earth, granite, ochre, magma, dirt. All the bones in her body are holy. All the stones in her pockets are homely. She is an animal among animals, a human among humans, wild and full of purpose, tender and ferocious, limbs and loins burning of lust. If she wants to, the new Eve says no if she doesn't want to, and there is no God to save you if you fail to listen. The new Eve has autonomy over her soul and her body. The new Eve has
I'm just gonna let this play into the next track so you kind of get an idea. That was like an incantation, absolutely wild shit. The next track called Highway is called Highwayman.
The roads are ribbon running through the moorland. Bright violet lightning, the highwayman comes riding, 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 riding. You see his coat of clear velvet, you hear the rhythm of his heartbeat when he comes riding, 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 riding. Now let me tell you that the lawless are not lawless, but that they write their own codex and this man's smiles. They all bet around his love for a woman. She is waiting at the roadhouse, waiting for her loved one, tying a blood red love knot in her long black hair, leaning out the window into the pulsating air. She is longing to be riding, riding,
The chaos.
Trigger! Shoots them down one and one. No, who's new to give a gun in our society where the authorities are sickened.
Those rhythm activists and violence I'm talking about.
Now she is running, and he is riding down that highway in the lightning, his love blood throbbing, her love blood pouring down the highway, down the highway, down the
Bro, tell me this shit's crazy, dude. Without question, an album of the year contender, like, no doubt about it. Like, this would be not, I mean, clearly it's post-punk influenced. It's got, like, post-punk noise rock, like, I mean, you know, folky noise rock, but, like, noise rock nonetheless. Wild, witchy folk aspect to it. Opens with that crazy incantation that, like, just kind of, like, brings you into the world. Such a cool album, man. I can't remember last time there was an album that, like, well, actually I can. It was the next band's album from 2021, so 4 years ago, that an album, like, you know, hit me like this much. Yeah, the new Eve is Rising out of Brighton and Hove, UK. Definitely go check out this album if you haven't already, because it's a fucking wild journey. And number 2 on our list, like, I mean, it's definitely without question the best folk funk album, because this next, my number 1 is just a single track. It doesn't count as an album. So this new the new Eves is definitely the folk punk album of the year. Probably also the post punk album of the year, if not the album of the year in in like its entirety, right? So, um, such a wild fucking album. Absolutely love it. It's it's a treat. It's a treat, that album. Um, anyways, that brings us to number one, which is, I was saying, the band responsible for creating what I think is the best album of all time, and that is Agi. I'm actually rocking my Agi shirt. Thank you to the person who sold me this for $20 on eBay. I really, because they don't play, especially I'm in Canada, so they don't play uh, outside of their area a lot. I saw they were playing in Philadelphia, and I was gonna go travel there just to go see them, but I never. I was working, so I never ended up doing it. But I don't even know what an Agi show would be like, because like if they didn't play like so the in 2021, so in they've basically been releasing stuff every couple years. They released a Prelude EP, which I never heard originally. Then they released in 2021. They released what I think is like the best album I've ever heard in my life, which is Idol Opus 1 to 4. If you listen to that album, it's just one giant story about like these two people like falling in love and then like like losing each other and stuff like that. And it's like I cannot listen to that album without crying. It's that moving. You can, and then there's so much depth to it. Like it comes with, it's actually a book. They actually wrote a book and then made the book into like a musical piece. It's almost like a theater piece without acting. It's just like a musical. It's like a musical accompaniment to the book that they wrote. So I'm not sure which came first, like chicken or the egg or whatever. But Idol Opus 1 to 4 is like, to me, the greatest album of all time. I've never heard an album that's better than that. And in 2023, 2 years later, they released another EP, which had, I think, 3 or 4 songs. I want to say it's called like the June songs or something. The two characters are June and July, and I want to say that came out in like 2023, and so it's been 2 years since then, and we only got one track this year, which is the Festival Grounds. But still, to me, it's a continuation. Oh, something I forgot to mention about the Newies before we go on is that they also released a 2-song 7-inch called Red Brick Well Station. So also go check that out. There's more tracks on top of the full album. But sorry, coming back to this. Yeah, this is a continuation of that story. So to me, it's just like one album that just keeps on growing and growing. So even though this is one track, it's like it's still connected to the June Songs Volume 1 and Idol Opus 1 to 4 and Prelude .3333. Yeah, it's just, and like the Idol Opus coincided with like the coming out of the cicadas, and it has like a cicada on the cover, and like it's just so like there's just like such a like esoteric aspect. There's something esoteric about it, but then you can also just listen to it as like a regular album. So like depending on how much attention you want to give to it is like what you get out of it. Like you can just listen to it an album and like still be moved to your absolute core, or you can just like sit there and listen attentively or follow along with the lyrics and then like learn the story and then like be drawn down this like wondrous journey of these two people meeting on tour and like falling in love, and then it kind of brings us around to what we're getting here in the Festival Grounds. This is just one track, 5 minutes long. Like I said, I normally don't include individual tracks for consideration in these lists, but like I said, this is an exception because it's like a continuation of the greatest album of all time. So I'm just gonna play it, and once, if you haven't heard Agi, I mean, this is a great place to start, but you're gonna have to go back and listen to all the releases, their entire discography in order. And Idol Opus is like an hour and it's like over an hour and a half long. So it's like one of the longest albums I've ever heard. And that's what I'm saying. Like I don't even know what an Agi show would be like, because like wouldn't you want them to play at least Idol Opus in its full in its entirety? Like if you're messing up the chronology, like do they just have to play like a 2 hour? Like do they just have to play every song they've ever written, every show they do, and like the the longer that they're a band, the longer their shows become. Like eventually it'll be like a 4 hour show and you're just listening to like every track in the chronological order that they've released it. I don't know. I don't know, but like I there if I die before I see Agi, I will haunt this earth until I get the chance. But yeah, without any further ado, and all due respect to the New Eves for creating the best folk punk post punk album in its entirety of the year. This is Agi's The Festival Grounds.
There in a field I Recheck the map and my old friends and new on top. So
Man, now just imagine the entire album, that taking on a journey through that for an hour and a half, man. Mind fucking blowing, dude. This is like I said, this is the most mind blowing musical project to ever exist in the history of mankind. And I don't say that taking it lightly. I say that with I say that genuinely, man. Like I genuinely believe that. Yeah, and definitely props to the new Eves. I feel like, despite the fact of one being like kind of like dreamy emo folk pop music and another one being like dark witchy folk post punk, that they're two sides of the same coin. They're doing something very similar here. I think they're doing something very similar, and that's why I like both albums so much. But yeah, number one album, number one folk punk release of 2025, in combination with the New Eves. New Eve is Rising. To recap, we got number 10, we got Bricktop Blaggers, On With The Show, Celtic Punk from Orange County, California. Number 9, Ben Nichols, In the Heart of the Mountain from Memphis, Tennessee, with his very dark, sad, and brooding alt country album. Dave House and the Mermaids self-titled album, with their kind of like folk rock punk release style. The Clover Hearts from number 7, the Clover Hearts, Loving and Squalor from Sydney, Australia, playing like poppy Celtic punk and ska. Number 6, the Slow Death, No Light to See. Ben Nichols is from Lucero. Number 9, his band Lucero is very similar to the Slow Death, playing alt country as well. Number 5, Hoist the Colors, Dear Wanderlust from Los Angeles, playing a combination of bluegrass punk and Celtic punk. Number 4, The Taxpayers, amazing band that are in a world of their own in as far as folk punk goes, with their new album Circle Breaker. Every album is a concept album, this one included. Number 3, Ascenders from the early November, Posture Syndrome, beautiful folk album. The New Eves, which we were just listening to, The New Eve is Rising out of Brighton and Hove, UK, with their witchy post folk punk, I guess you would call it. And of course, number 1, Agi, continuation of Idol Opus after the June Songs Volume 1 with the Festival Grounds. Like I said, the top, there wasn't a lot of great folk punk albums this year, but the ones that were released were absolutely fucking top tier. So thank you for tuning in again. I'll be back maybe later today if I can get another list completed, if not tomorrow, with our next best of list for 2025. So we've done ska EPs, ska, and folk punk now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, but tune back in and we'll do this all over again. Appreciate you tuning in. Have a great one. Bye.